Hey everybody, good morning. Doug here with 2 Plus Stuff, hanging out for another While You're Reforging, my Friday show where we hang out together and get some painting done and just generally hang out and stuff like that. It's been a bit. Last week I had a doctor's appointment. Everything's fine. I'm good. It's normal, like physical, that kind of stuff, check up. But wasn't able to record, and it didn't even occur to me that I wasn't even live last week until today when I went to go pull up the Warhammer community news. And sure enough, I was like, wait a minute, I don't remember any of this stuff. It's because I was only looking a week back instead of 2 weeks, but whatever. So, hey everybody in the chat, let me know if you can hear and see me all right. I see Cody's in there. What's up, Cody Griffith? BioFoot78. Oh, sweet. Awesome. So, if you are new to the channel or this show, basically every Friday I hang out with people, we do some hobby, and this is kind of more of like an informal, we just kind of review what's going on that week, and every week I pick a main topic. And today's main topic, as you can see by the top of the screen, at least it should be, let me double check. Yes, I got it. Okay. Is gaming groups, and how do you tell if your gaming group is healthy, and basically if you're in an area where you're lucky enough to have multiple groups, because I mean some, especially cities and that kind of stuff there are, how do you know the right one? And so that's what we're going to explore today. Spezia, thank you so much. I'm not full-time yet. That's not going to happen until like mid-November, December type thing, but I put the intention out there and the money, and that's the plan, and we're all ready for it, so it's happening. It's just a matter of when our lease runs up here, so that's all it comes down to. So that's my intro right here. One thing I do want to say in the intro here is if you need any hobby supplies, like, whether it's models or paints, that kind of stuff, go check out Discount Games Inc. Now, they've been a sponsor of the show for a while. You might see in their intros at the beginning of lore sections. I'm sorry, there's a plane outside that's flying really low. But Jay is the owner of that business, and he's an incredible guy. And he started sharing some interesting stuff on Twitter last night. And it's not complaining, but it was like kind of pulling the veil back on the problems that Games Workshop is having with getting product to retailers, and it was just very insightful to me. And I don't know, I read that and I was like, thank you for sharing that. I learned something that was very important. Go support him. So anyway, that's all. I just really like that. Real ones, Jack. Uncle Doug. No, I am awkward nephew Doug, not Uncle Doug. There is only one uncle. His name is Adam. All right, so we're gonna move out of the intro and go into hobby progress. So let me go on my downward cam here and flick this light on, blinding you all temporarily with the brilliance of my progress. So, I kind of hit a mental block when it came to the Beasts of Chaos stuff. If you don't know, before I had a whole bunch of Ungor, and I was just going to build them for my, like a tournament list idea that I had. But I was finding that I just wasn't into painting them. Like, I mean, there's a reason I got rid of the Beasts of Chaos the first time. I just wasn't super into it, especially the Horde stuff, and so I was like, okay, well, let's do something that I can enjoy, right? And so I busted out the green stuff, and I got back to making bases for my Maggotkin army. Again, the Beasts of Chaos stuff isn't going to be based the same way. One, they're all like super tightly attached to their bases, and so I'd have to basically replace them all, and that's just not going to happen. I don't care enough. It's, again, tournament stuff. Couldn't care less about it when it comes to the theme. But for everything else, I do want them to match. And so I got a whole bunch of bases here, and let me slide these boys over. We're going to be working on those today during the main topic. And I did some building, so I got Gut Rot Spoom, which is a nice. Let's see, we've got... This is a converted Lord of Blights, and he's cool because I don't know if you can see it really well, but he has a little rat on top of his hangman's noose. Gave him a different weapon. I don't know, just did a little bit of cool stuff here. Hold on a second, my phone is exploding and I don't know what's going on. I'm just making sure to... Okay, cool. Sorry, I'm not like... So I took a vacation this week, but I'm kind of like half on call because things are so crazy with COVID going on, and I work in a healthcare thing. I was making sure nobody's blowing up or dying or falling apart. Anyway, so here we have, I think his name is Festus Leechlord. I think that's the one. Someone correct me if I am wrong. but he's the gross guy. For some reason, I thought he was also in 40k, but he's just a, I think I was thinking of Epidemius. I got those two confused, because I've never used any of the characters for fantasy Nurgle or demons. And if you guys have not seen it, if you have not heard, then my good friend Jack over at Ruling Ones got me this sweet beast of Nurgle, because I have always wanted to have an army of beasts of Nurgle. There's a battalion with, oh my gosh, what's his name? Horticulus Slimix, where he really favors beasts of Nurgle, and I am so excited because then yesterday I made choices. Choices were made, and I bought 2 more Beasts of Chaos. I was looking at Forge World to look at the Plague Toads and having them sub in as Beasts of Chaos, just to kind of mix up the units a little bit. And I'm excited. This is actually a super fun model to build. Like, if you are looking at Nurgle demons and you're like, I don't want an army of them, but I just want to build like a Nurgle thing, just to, to try painting something different, highly recommend the Beasts of Chaos. Can't recommend it enough. It was super fun. The directions are a little weird in terms of telling you which bits you can swap. Like, most of this dude is optional, with the exception of like the main torso and this arm and the tail. But the hands, the face, the hair, the tongue, the belly, there's a lot of different variations you can make. So they don't look all the same, but yeah, they're pretty cool. So I like him a lot. And beyond that, it's just honestly the same stuff that y'all have seen before. So I got 5 more Blight Kings over there. I have 5 more that are, I need more 40 mil bases to do this with, because when I was popping them off, they got damaged. And that's how I know the Beasts of Chaos that's kind of a non-starter. It's like, I have a bunch of 40s laying around. I'm not doing that for 60 Ungor. So, got 5 more Blight Kings, 10 more Plague Bearers, and 3 more things of Nurglings. And now later today, I'm going to go hang out with my buddy Ben tonight, I think. That's usually when we hang out. And he's going he's been wanting to do a demo of the new 40k for me, and so I have my sisters. I will bring them. They're partially assembled, but honestly, y'all, I kind of just want to play Nurgle Demons. Like, I like these guys. I don't know why, what happened, that like, I painted them and I put them down and I walked away, and now I came back and I'm like, man, all I want in the whole world is just more demons. I don't know what's going on with me. So beyond that, that's kind of what I'm doing, is I have a couple heroes. One more thing of Putrid Blight Lords. I should really do a deluge video updating this hobby thing. And then I'm kind of just re-strengthening the demon side of stuff. So yeah. Let's see. Finally free for the weekend. Okay, so what I like to do is between segments, I'll pause and let you guys ask any questions, or if you want me to shout out something, go ahead and just, at 2plusstuff or at Doug type question in all caps, just something so I can see it. Yeah, and go ahead and do that, and I'll give you just a minute here as I finish up rambling. But essentially, I'm going to paint all the demons like I do my plague drone type dudes here, the Pusco Blight Lords. So it's the same mount anyway. That kind of pale, sick yellow with the inflamed pink flesh, kind of thing going on. I like it quite a bit. Look at the creature caster demons. I was looking at them, and I couldn't find one that I quite wanted, because they have some cool models, but the models that they have like room to spare on a 40 mil base. This is a 60, and I'm like they're not big enough. And so that's why I was looking at the Forge World Plague Toads, because even though they are in, I think, $80 a unit for 3, which, if you're building an army of Plague Toads, it's just like, that's a drop in the bucket. That's why Forge World's so expensive, and no thank you. But because I'm using them as Beasts of Nurgle, because I assume eventually those War Scrolls will go to Legends, right? I mean, I assume at some point they will. I'm just going to use them as Beasts of Nurgle. They're on the right base size. And, yeah, I mean, because at that point, Beasts of Nurgle is a $44 kit. This dude right here is $40. So if I can get 3 of them for 80, That is a sweet deal still. So Forge World coming in clutch with the savings, said no one ever. Okay, I'm going to hear. But thank you. Yeah, if you have any more suggestions on alternate, especially Great Unclean ones, I want to do the 3 Great Unclean One battalion. I ultimately want 4 Great Unclean Ones because I want to be able to do that battalion without the named character and then also have the named character. So I need 4 total, and I don't want them to all be the same. And so there's that. They went to Legends in GHB 2020. Oh, then what am I waiting for? I'm just going to get them now. Okay. Cool. I'll do that. Because that would allow me to have 6 Beasts of Nurgle. Yeah. So that Horticulus Slimix, which this is his base right here, that'll pan out real well. All right, so Jacob, Doug, how did it feel to have such a quick and positive response to your funding request to go full-time? It was incredible. I kind of emotionally crashed and burned for a couple days because... Oh, sorry, wrong one. Because it was just very overwhelming for me. Imposter syndrome is a very real thing. And yeah, no, it was incredible. And I didn't expect it. I mean... I thought that we could like get there in terms of the funding, but I didn't expect it in like 2 days. That was insane. So it was extremely humbling, and that's why this whole week or last 2 weeks have been extremely frantic. Where I'm like, okay, I got to get the camera set up, but I can't run the camera like for streaming like this full time because I have to get like an adapter to let the battery charge through a direct current and all these like, you know, all those stupid little accessory things. And so I'm like, holy crap, I got to make this work. This is amazing. So I don't know. It was very enthusiastic and kind of made everything crazy for me and kind of made it real, if I'm honest with you. And that was a big deal. Question from Trevor. Are you going to play Nurgle Demons in AOS 40k and the Old World when it comes out? So AOS, yes. 40k, I'm leaning that way really hard. I'm going to go get a demo of the new edition tonight, essentially. But as far as like, I don't know why. For some reason, I don't want to start a new army project at all. But I do want to do like expanding my Nurgle stuff, which is different because that's a complete 180 from what I usually do. Usually I get tired of expanding the same thing and then I just, you know, move to something else and sell the army. But I don't know what happened in my brain that it flipped, but I'm going to ride that wave. As far as Old World, we don't know anything about it. I mean, honestly, if I could tell you what I wanted Old World to be, it would be War Master, which is like the little like 5mm scale, and it's just you're a general up from high above, and I like that kind of stuff. I want them to do something different. You know what I mean? Just different. It's whatever. Apathy Kitten showed my brother your lore videos, and he's been absolutely loving the Demons of Zinch. Oh, cool. That's awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you. Question. So regular dwarf cannon has disappeared. Is that no longer a takeable unit? No, because you would just use it as the cannon that exists for Empire dudes, right? Because they have a cannon, right? Let me double check here before I just start saying things. Matthew Thornton, you're not late at all, my friend. We're just walking through, we just finished Hobby Progress, and I opened it up to questions, and I immediately got thrown one that I don't know the answer to. Let's see. They have the Hellstorm rocket battery, the volley gun. I would say, honestly, no one's going to fight you if you run it as one of those. Like, really. But it looks like... Yeah, it looks like those are the things I was thinking of. Just be sure. No cannons. Alright, thanks, Jack. Yeah, just be sure to make it clear to your opponent. But honestly, like... I can't fathom someone being like, oh, excuse me, you can't use that. It only has one barrel, and the Hellblaster volley gun requires... Just be like, it's a flechette. It just shoots like pellets. It's fine. It's whatever. Ignore them. Alright, so... we're super happy for you, Doug. Aw, thank you so much. That's so kind of you guys. I can't say it enough. Donald Kelly, question. Can you think of any ways to interact with the hobby without using your hands? When injured myself, and audiobooks are all I can think of without using my hands. Well, reading, not really. Like, I can't think of anything that's like utterly and completely without the sense of touch. Because I was thinking like, video games, but even that requires your hands. If you, you could look at and compile like art. This song's a little intense here. There we go. Look at and compile art. Because some of the artwork is the coolest thing ever, and all you need to do is be able to look at it for that. But those are the big ones that I would say. Everything else is kind of like, it really depends on exactly how much you can handle. But again, I don't know your injuries, so I don't know. Let's see. Sad beard noises, Chibi. Does Greywater have so many cannons in the lore? Yeah, pretty much. That's a funny one. Yes, and this is the new setup. It'll be a little bit altered because it still runs a little bit differently when I'm doing live streaming, but this is it. And pretty soon here I'm going to go to the shared screen, and we're pretty much going to stay there the rest of the time because I don't want to burn the battery out on my Canon. And like I said, I'm waiting on the part to let it run through my computer to power it. So we'll have to move away from that here pretty soon, but that is all right. Let's see. Look at Titan Forged Demons. Titan Forge. I'm just gonna write that down here. I won't look at it. Forged Demons. I may have lied. I may have accidentally just clicked this thing. Wait a minute. Wait for it. Okay, but I will check that out. I promise. Thank you. Let's see. Question. Animosity 2 came to an end. Did you read the epilogue? I have not. And I'll be honest, I reached out to the guys organizing it and apologized. It's just not been a good time. They're doing that. So they reached out to me like 2 weeks before Animosity. It might have been like another week before then, trying to schedule that chat that I had with Alex, who was organizing it. And we did that chat like 2 days before it launched. And I was not ready for it. I was not in a position where I had time to do stuff, so it was a bad year. But next year, now that I know it exists and that I can be ready for it and prepare content, we're gonna make it happen. So apologies all around there, but no, I really didn't get to contribute all that much, and that's kind of a bummer. All right, so we're gonna move into the next section here, talking about some news. So we're gonna go here, we're gonna share the screen. And I'll be honest with you, it was a fairly light news couple of weeks, to be honest, because we got a bunch of stuff for Lumineth, but we already have the Lumineth. I don't know. And I'll be honest, I said this when they announced that the special box was coming out, but that the army wasn't coming out until later. And I just remember thinking like, well, it's not that it's crummy, because it's not. It's fine. It is what it is. But it was that I was worried that the hype was going to be weird, and it really is, because now they're acting like it's the week right before release. It's like, but we already know what's coming, what's in the book, what's not in the book, because of the Underworld's warband that I'm a little salty is not in there, but whatever. It's all good. It's all good. So, yeah. Let's see. Hey, my dude. What's up, Sean? Yeah, so looking at that, they just gave us some new pictures of the models coming out. I still like the bow guys, if I'm honest with you. There's Light of Altharion, the Cenari Cathalar. I gotta say, this to me is my least favorite model in the range. I know if this was like a Bretonnian model back in the day, like this is baller, but for some reason it just doesn't grip me. I don't know. I got the special box, but my enthusiasm for Lumineth is just gone. I'll be honest with you, I'm the same. But one thing I do love, I love this, and I want to find some way to kit bash this endless spell into something else where it's Hish and Olgu like warped together. I think that's really cool, like where they're constantly mirroring and kind of stuck in each other's orbit and that kind of stuff. Cody Griffin, so more Lumineth lore, boring. Oh, you mean from their articles? Yeah, they did do quite a few articles here. this is one of the few times where I can honestly say that I beat them to the lore because they released the book before all these little lore tidbits. But yeah, one thing that is news though, it's the feet on her. I could see that. She's got hobbit gripping feet, you know, like fat sausage toes that kind of grip to the rock like a barnacle. All right, so Armies on Parade. If you didn't know, Armies on Parade is going online this year, and it's should be cool. Let's see. I think it'll work a lot like the Ever-Chosen, and that's cool. Alternate sculpts for Geminids if you split it. Ooh, good call. Good call. And we got some awesome display boards. I'll be honest with you, nothing about building a display board sounds fun to me. Like, it's just, and what I mean is it doesn't sound dumb and it doesn't sound boring. It just sounds like when I look at this, I'm like, when I look at models, I'm like, oh man, I want to paint that, or I want to try this scheme on that. When I look at display boards, there's no part of me that's like, oh, I want to try, you know, blank. And I mean, you know, it's just like really any other art form. I have the same feeling towards a lot of art where I'm like, eh. But some of these, like whatever this guy's got going on, oh, it's Dark Angels. Oh, that's awesome. Like, that is really cool. I don't have a vision for it, and I don't want to learn how to do it, but I want to appreciate it. It's pretty much where I'm at. So, yeah, let's see. Kind of sucks. It's going to be online. Armies on Parade is brilliant community. Yeah, I agree. I'm not the biggest fan of doing things blanket statement online because there's so many painters that, you know, they're not professional level when they compete with other painters. Like, you know, I'm never going to beat Vince Ventrella when it comes to a painting contest. I don't have the interest in that level of discipline to get the kind of painting prowess he has. But I can rock the local scene, I think. Well, that's not true. Kelly Freiberg lives around here, and she's the one who painted a L'Oreal for the studio. Dang it. Okay, well, I could do well in my small group of friends over at Rerolling Ones. You see that bar? Take it, lower it. and that's pretty much what Armies on Parade allowed us to do, as far as, like, you know, I don't have to be professional. I can just take something cool to my friends and show them, and then we can just have a cool time hanging out. But obviously the world is changing, until it levels out. This is what we got. So they did like tactical tips for the Lumineth, which is interesting. Nothing really stood out. I mean, honestly, all it did was, it's so weird because I believe when they were getting ready to release the book, they made all these articles, and then when, you know, it became clear that they couldn't ship it when they wanted to, they just rescheduled them. So all of this is like, we already know. All of this is already out there. That's all right. I understand. And then they did one for artifacts, and I mean, honestly, like, it's the same thing. Who cares? Oh, but if you play Horus Heresy, this is an interesting one. One more reason that Horus Heresy is superior to 40k is that all of their dice are 100% legible. Isn't that a novel idea? So let's just pick one here. Let's pick the least legible ones amongst these and compare. I'm gonna go with probably the Emperor's Children dice, just because from far away the dark gold doesn't really pop off the purple. This is still a superior dice to almost everything that they put out. Yeah. It's good to have confidence. Oh my gosh, whatever. Hey everybody, there's a great video on Rerolling Ones you should go watch. We all painted a model for each other for Christmas, and I crushed it. So go watch that. Give those guys some views. Thumbs up and subscribe. See what I did there? I put Jack in an awkward position because now he has to thank me for sending people to his channel to subscribe and stuff like that. But actually, I snuck in a dig there where it's like, actually, there's video proof that I'm like the greatest in the world. Anyway, so we'll come out of our little corner and like, don't, just between you and me, don't tell Jack. But this is what I did. So you all know, he doesn't know. We're all in the know. Anyway, so that is it pretty much for the news. I did not have a lot going on this week. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to flip this light back on. We're going to go to the downward cam, and we're going to talk about our main topic for the day. And as I'm kind of getting myself set up here with what I need to do, go ahead. Like I said, between segments, I always leave a gap. If you have any thoughts on any of the news, the Lumineth stuff, the dice, are they pricey? Someone said they're pricey. I don't know what they are. Rouse. Oh, buddy, thank you so much. Thank you. There's a delay in there, but yeah, thank you so much. That's so kind of you. Oh, for the dig on Jack. Yes. If you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. Oh man, that made my day. Okay, so I'll go ahead and open that up. I think I'll give you like 30 more seconds on the questions here just because there is a delay, but we got some cool little bits here we're going to be playing around with. Now, the only base that I don't want to do too much with in terms of like putting junk all over it is actually Horticulus slime mixes, because he's a big boy. Like, he just takes up a lot of real estate on the map here. But we will do like a little bit of like a skull pile towards the front, maybe along the rim. Basically, for this one, what I wanted to do, because I ran out of green stuff, frankly, but he also thematically has a huge trail of slime behind him at any given time. So what I was going to do is have obviously this is the deck of the ship, and then make like a gross swamp slime pile that goes up to the edge. So he's kind of like coming off the dock, basically. And I might actually have it so that, yeah, he's going the other way. So this way, that's a tough call, actually, now that I think about it. Like, do I have him coming off of the dock, but then he's going into slime? But the whole point is that wherever he goes, meaning behind him, is the slime trail. So I gotta think about that one. Okay. Almost as ridiculous as his model. All right. Let's see. He gave me the ultimate dig yesterday by standing me up and then ghosted me. Why don't you talk about that, Doug? Oh, I just did. I done did it. Now, everybody, I'm not perfect. Sometimes I'm a really crappy friend. This is the truth of it. But most of the time, I'm not. Let's see. Long strikes fired by Jack. That was a full broadside. I love it. Okay. Now, one of the things I do for basing, if you guys look at... Oh my gosh, what are they called? I think it's by Wizards of the Coast. They put out these little things like for D&D, like for building little scenes, and they've been awesome for me. Yes, yes. Poor Jack. Let's all just sit around and say, oh man, woe is Jack. He took a 2-week vacation and the world didn't stop for him. I'm just kidding. I'm just playing with my friend. We're just having a good time. Let's see. So, let me pull up my notes for today's show. Like I said, we're talking about Doug have a slime wake ahead of him, like how a ship has a wave in front of... Oh, that's true. That's a good point. Okay. I didn't realize my notes closed out. I am so sorry. Give me just a moment. Okay, so this question came from the patrons. It's BioFoot78, who I believe is in the chat. I think I saw him earlier. And Chris W. And their question was essentially, what are the signs of a good and healthy AOS group? And places that you might want to be a part of and hang your hat. And so, yeah, the idea of like what is an ideal play group and what does that mean? What does that look like? And that's what we're going to talk about today. Now, I have a few thoughts, and I want to just make clear at the beginning here This is all my opinion. This is all the opinion of some random dude. I wanted to start off by basically just saying gaming groups are extremely important. Like, extremely important. And the reason is you get consistent games because you can organize with people. You get on the same page as far as, like, rules and FAQs and how you guys handle disputes and, like, even just dumb little stuff of, like, you know, how to tell if a dice is cocked. Some people will, like, put another die on top of it, and if it can't stand up, then it's cocked or whatever. You guys are about to witness some magic here. As I do my dumpy version of terrain making. Let me see. There it is, my glue. But in addition to that, you also get just like a sense of community. And that is something that you really can't overstate. You know, community is really important and something... I mean, niche is the word that we use to describe this hobby, but it really is. And it's just stuff like sharing paint schemes. Yeah, basically anything. And so I put together a list of a couple things that I think are hallmarks of a good gaming group. And so I want to talk about those. The biggest one for me, and I say the biggest one because it should be the first one, like that you experience when you walk into the gaming group, is that they are inviting and welcoming. Okay, so when you walk in, and maybe you're holding models, maybe you went to the game night just to check it out, see if it's the kind of people you want to hang out with. But if you're snooping around the Warhammer tables, somebody stops and says, "Oh, hey, how you doing today? Like, do you play AOS, or are you interested?" And you can start a dialogue there. Like, being just that first step of, like, shaking hands essentially with someone who may be interested in your hobby is really a big deal. And honestly, there's nothing quite like that, because if you go to a place, like, I've been to several stores where I am just standing, like, around doing nothing, and, you know, I'm watching them play. I'm trying to ask questions like, "Oh, is that Space Wolves or something?" You know, I don't know what the heck they're playing. The good gaming groups will be like, "Yeah, absolutely. It's by Games Workshop. Do you know how to play? Like, you recognize the army? Do you play 40K?" Like, those kinds of things. Just conversational people, because what that's telling me as a stranger is, oh, this is a place where they have a community, right? Because people care and they want to engage with you and chat with you and stuff. Let's see. Okay, I'm sorry, I was just reading the comments. I thought I saw something. The next thing that I would put as the hallmark of a good gaming group is that they have a good relation with the store or the club that hosts them. Now, this is kind of a hard one to tell immediately, but it's something, I don't know, if you just pay attention to, like, how the people who work at the store interact with some of the players, that kind of thing, you get a sense of it real quick. But essentially, for a gaming group to be really healthy and really good, they have to. It is essential that they have a good relationship with their store, because that's where you're going to have demos. It's where you're going to use their tables. It's where, you know what I mean? Like, there's so much interaction, and I have seen stores where the store owner is not into Warhammer, which is fine. You know, they don't have to. I'm not into Magic. They don't have to be into everything, but they do have to support it. You know, like, if you can't get product, it doesn't matter how many demos you do, because no one can join your game because there's just nothing to join with. Like, it's not there. And having a demo day and then just pointing people towards products on the shelf is super important. And so I think that's really good, especially when it comes to stuff like, you know, working with space now, in terms of not just space now with all the COVID stuff, but space in terms of, you know, the give and take between, okay, I respect you as a store owner, I know you have to do other events, it's Friday, there's obviously Magic the Gathering going on, we can respect that space on the store, you know, that kind of stuff, where it's like, we just got to work together, and that relationship actually helps everybody in the group, not just the group organizers, or it helps everybody. because everybody benefits when the place that's hosting you, quite frankly, wants to have you there versus if they see you as a nuisance or an inconvenience in some way, which totally does happen sometimes. There's a couple stores where they have a game that they like. Okay, let's say Infinity was one that I knew of. We know people like Infinity, but the store owner doesn't like it, so they don't want to stock it, and they don't want to really support it in terms of time and scheduling because it interferes with their main seller, which is Magic the Gathering, and it just kind of falls apart because it doesn't matter how friendly you are, but if this place where you're trying to get people to play games doesn't want you there, it doesn't matter. It's a non-starter, like just straight up. Let's see. Okay. Oh, sorry. I'm just reading the comments again, making sure I'm not losing anybody. And in addition to that, when I say have a good relation, and that kind of brings in part of the store, is also that store, it needs to be clean, it needs to be well lit, it needs to be fun. Like, how many... Okay. Show of digital hands. Who has ever walked into a store and it's like either a ghost town that's creepy and it's a dark dungeon? Because I've definitely done that, and I'm just like, I don't want to be here. I don't want anyone to be here. No one should have to be in this place. It is forbidden. But, conversely, like, we've been into stores where, like, oh, this is classy. It's clean. I like it here. And those kinds of things. And it's one of the, I don't know. It's, as much as I've heard people complain about, like, it shouldn't matter, XYZ shouldn't matter, all that matters is the products and the service, and I'm just like, but that's not true. It's just not, like, in any way, shape, or form. If people don't want to physically be in your store, like, hey, when your coworker or the person managing the store cleans the bathroom, just tell them to be like, you know what, give it a second try. You know what I mean? Just clean it up a little bit. We can get some more butts in these doors if you just clean it up a smidge. Cracking down on bullying and tolerance, absolutely. Yeah, and that's kind of why I brought up the store part, where it's like there's a point of which the gaming group, any successful gaming group, has to have the support of the store, and that support takes the form of making sure that their literal sales environment is one that people want to be at. Which, yeah, you're right, includes body odor. So if someone is super gross or saying gross things, they need to leave, and that's okay. But I understand that there are stores where people don't see that as, like, a worthy thing, where it's like, oh yeah, no, that's just how they talk, and like, that doesn't mean anything. That means nothing to me. I don't care about them. They're being gross. Let's see, I got some weird abhuman skulls here that I'm kind of digging. And anything? Oh yeah, I got an orc one. We like orcs. Okay. People will spend hours basing their models, but not see the store's setting is important. Pretty much, yeah. That is, honestly, it is. Like, people will, we have, I won't name names, we have a couple stores locally where it's like they spend all this time on product, and then when you walk in to go buy it, you're like, I don't want to touch any surface in this place. And that was long before COVID, right before, long before we were all, we'll say, very attentive to cleanliness as a thing that we are now, in the same way that we are now. But yeah, there's some rough ones out there in the world. Let's see, let's grab here. When I'm doing these bases, I kind of just grab, like, whatever looks cool and just throw them together. Okay. All right. So next up, for my hallmarks of a good gaming group, and this one I think warrants a bit of discussion. And this is actually, for some reason, when this question came to me, I immediately thought of a gaming group in California. I don't think they're really doing much anymore. Obviously, not a lot of gaming groups are doing much anymore right now, but they have very, very intense painting requirements to be a part of their gaming group. Now, this is more than just like a local store that has like a Warhammer night and all the people there are, you know, jerks and just require a certain level of painting. This is like a gaming group that's detached from any singular store, and they're just a club, right? And it's not a boys club or like that. It's just, this is how we like to play. We like to play with fully painted armies and thematic stuff and all that jazz. Some folks see that as a form of discrimination is not the right word, but I can't think of the right word, where it's, you know, you're basically pushing someone else out. Well, we don't want your people who don't paint their models, kind of a thing. And it's seen in a very negative light. And I would just push back that there's nothing wrong with that, so long as, and so what I actually have here in my notes is, if this group has requirements, that they are reasonable, that they are entry requirements, they're not discrimination, right? It's not like joining a clique or a boys club. So for example, if they want to have the fully painted armies, a reasonable version of that is, hey, listen, like we only like to play with painted armies, but if you're willing, I'm happy to take a couple weeks off and we can help you come here on Wednesday nights and we'll get all this stuff painted, no problem. Like, that is a very reasonable thing to me, to be like, oh, okay, so this is the standard, and again, all the things that followed before, they are inviting, they are kind, you know, respectful, clean, like they're people that you want to hang out with. And of course, I think the best ones are going to be ones that really want to help you join them. They want you to join them. And so if there is like a group requirement surrounding a thing, they are going to help you achieve it. I think that's huge. Personally, like I said, I don't see anything wrong with it. Some people get really upset at the notion of, I can't play with my toys because of your arbitrary thing, but everyone's allowed to enjoy their hobby differently, and that is all right. Gatekeeping, snobbery, no. See, that's the thing, where it's like elitism. I don't think that's it. Because here's how I perceive it, okay, personally. If someone, like, I've never been a part of a group that has a requirement like that, so I'm just throwing that out there. But when I hear that, I think about the fact that in America, there exists a Ferrari club. A club where the only requirement is you must own a Ferrari. It's not discrimination. I mean, I don't know if I want to be a part of that club, but that's more to do with Ferraris than anything else, and tax brackets that would require me. I have to be a part, I would be able to afford one. But I just don't think there's anything wrong with saying like, hey, you know, we're a group, we like XYZ, and this is how we like to play. Now, like I said, this is completely detached from a store. So on Wednesday nights, if they go to a store and it's just a normal Warhammer night, they will play people who have unpainted armies. I'm not talking about elitism where they're too good to play anybody else. I'm talking about people coming together and having a mutual definition of fun, and they just do it that way. Like, that's all it is. So, I don't know. And that's the thing, where it can easily be perceived as a negative thing, but I don't think it really is. So, that's an opinion, like I said. But to the point was, if they do have gaming group requirements, that they are very reasonable. And I'm going to even back off on the word requirement, because, for example, if you go to a local game night and they're like, hey, you know, we generally like to play 2,000 point games, that's kind of setting an expectation. It's not a requirement. Sure, people will play you at smaller games, for sure. You can probably find somebody. But that what they're doing is they're setting an expectation, right? I don't know. And so I think that's more what I was going for. But even then, yeah, I don't know. Like, I can never see myself saying, no, I won't play against you because your army's unpainted. But I could absolutely say, you know, if someone walked up and was like, oh my god, this looks incredible, I don't think I'll ever be able to paint an army to be able to play a full game with you guys. I'm absolutely the person who would say, okay, well, for the next 3 weeks, I'm happy to not play any games. Come here, I'll bring some paints, we'll crank you out an army. Like, so that's an opinion part, but to each their own, I understand. Like I said, never been a part of a gaming group. I think that's something I kind of want to change when I start over, I guess, in Iowa. But, okay, so we got our bases done. We throw on some, oh my gosh, this is the hardest word for me, seashells. And we got our bases done. Now the gross mossy stuff that I warped around in PVA glue, when it's all painted, it will look like seaweed, like big globs of nasty seaweed, and I stuff it full of Nurgle's rot. It's a lot of fun. So, yeah, these guys, they need to dry, but otherwise are ready to go, and that is exciting. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the last one here of stuff that is signs of a good gaming group. They have some means of communication outside of game night. So what that could mean is a Facebook group, a WhatsApp board, a forum, like some one of the stores that I was a part of for War Machine and Hordes back in Iowa was they essentially had like a really janky forum built into their website. It was just like a Wix, you know, pre-made thing that people could do, but that's what they used for their communication. They're like, hey, not everybody likes to have Facebook accounts, so we'll do this, you know, obviously, like, you shop from us, we will keep your account information protected, and that's basically how they did it. I thought that was really neat. You know, it was just a small thing that the store did to make sure that their players had access to communication with one another to set up games, and I think that's a big part of it. Absolutely. Oh, and Discord. Discord's a great one, yes. Fantastic. Cody, I'll address your thing here in just 1 second, because you got a good point. So, I mean, and that, again, like I said before, it's all about communication, coordinate games, set expectations, and encourage one another, because in those kinds of places, you can post hobby progress, which is like weirdly become the center stage of this hobby with COVID kind of keeping a lot of us from gaming. I think that is really, really cool and very important. Now, I listed off these 4 things, right? You're inviting them and welcoming, you have a good relationship with the store, and the store is a place you want to be. Everybody meets basic codes of conduct, so you have like basically staying away from like religion, politics, and you can develop relationships where you feel comfortable, you know, speaking about those things with people. But I mean, in terms of like the actual official game night is not like, you know, Biden 2020, the Warhammering, or the Trump rally. You know what I mean? I don't want any of that. Like, I want to come here and forget about everything in the world. I want to kill some aliens, or I don't know, some Stormcast or something. You know what I mean? So it's a matter of like being respectful. And when you put all those things together, I guess to answer the question, how do you know if you're in a game store? Do you feel welcome? Do you feel like these are people you want to spend time with, in a place that you want to spend time with, and that if you enjoyed yourself, you have access to a way to spend more time with them, right? And that's what all of those ingredients go into making. And if you just ask yourself those very, very simple questions, you can figure it out. Like, especially if there's a community organizer, like some person who kind of takes the lead in terms of like welcoming guests and doing demos and that kind of stuff, that really goes a long way. And so I think that those things are really, really huge. A lot of it is just about communication and being, you know, basically putting your best foot forward. And that means hygiene. It means being welcoming. It means not being a creeper or a mouth breather. I'm just going to throw this one out there. When a female walks into the store, the whole store does not need to stop and stare awkwardly. They could just, you know, keep playing the game, because it turns out 51% of the population is female, and it's not that weird. I'm just going to throw that one out there for you. It's not like the first time humans saw a zebra. Oh man, sorry, took a shot of coffee there. But yeah, so I think those things are super important, of just feeling safe and feeling welcome, right? But the problem is when you talk about making people feel safe and welcome, that means different things to different people, you know. So I don't know. It's just an interesting thing. And that's part of the communication aspect of stuff that I can't, I can't tell you how everyone communicates. I'm not going to list off the love languages. Oh man. One thing I do want to address. Yes. Thank you, Ben, for kind of bringing it back. So Cody earlier brought up a comment that I want to touch on, which is, and this is, it's kind of moving away from the core of what I want to talk about. So now this is like, 2+ stuff freestyle where I'm just making crap up as I go. So in addition to all of those things, when I say encouraging in the hobby, of course that can look very different to very different people in terms of, well, we play narrative games here and we really emphasize fun storytelling and triumphant moments. But then some gaming groups are like, we really value competitive play or matched play in different circumstances. Like locally, 40K is hard for me because, with the exception of my buddy Ben, just about everyone I know is either they travel to events. Like, well, most of the folks north of me go to LVO because they want the hardcore competitive grindy experience. But then a lot of folks, they just enjoy that aspect of the game. They don't travel or like that, but because they want to play with the people who do, that is how they play. And so it's a very competitive scene with 40K. And so, first of all, communication is really important. If you're going to a gaming group, if you establish that you understand the game, right, and you just tell them, yeah, I play AOS, do not hesitate to be like, so you guys more narrative players, or more competitive, or pickup games? Like, what? You guys do campaigns? Like, well, that you ask whatever you want to ask, just don't be a jerk about it. And so that would be my suggestion. Just ask questions. And part of that, the reason I say you have to ask those questions is because if you show up, you're going to have an experience like I did the first time I met Jack, but it probably won't be as positive, where I brought my fluffy narrative Hallowed Knights list and he brought his Nut Punch Stormcast Eternals gun list and deleted me turn 2. And that has since blossomed into a wonderful friendship that ends with me ghosting him last night. So, we're doing great. Everything's great. We're fine. How are you? But most of the time it won't, because if you show up for a game night and you're like, yeah, let's play this fun narrative game, and they're all like, I'm going to take this opportunity to show the world my unappreciated prowess as a general of men, and they get really into the game and they crush you turn 2 and they feel all gloaty about it. You're like, you don't have to be there like that. You can just be like, nah, this isn't what I want, and leave. Which is, that's what I tell people. Is just like, hey, are we having fun? Nope. Cool. Let's go away. Let's go get a beer or something. We don't have to play this game out. And that's generally how I am, but I know not everyone's like that. So again, it's all about communication. It's all about getting a feel for the group. I assume since you were on the internet, you were good at Warhammer. No, I spend all my time on the internet, not actually playing this game. I don't know anything about it. I spend half my time just trying to count the dice. I roll them and I'm like, 2s. No, wait. Hits on a 3. 3s. And then just do that. So, yeah. So I don't know. That's basically all I got, honestly, for the day. To be perfectly honest with you, it's just feeling safe and feeling welcome. I think are the two most paramount things to getting people into the hobby. Nobody wants to feel creeped out, which is pretty much my main stance when it comes to, I've had a few stores reach out and ask, like, how do I get more, a more diverse community? And that partially at the time for some of them meant, how do I get more women in the group to make it more of a diverse place, which is ultimately, I think, a good goal. And then they ask questions about like different minorities and different people groups and that kind of stuff. And, but the truth of the matter is, if you feel welcome and you feel safe, At the end of the night, you feel enthused about the hobby. Those three things apply to everyone, regardless of gender or race or anything. Like, you know, and so having people in your community who can reach out and be like, hey, listen, I noticed you're kind of walking around the store, but you keep pondering over looking at us. Do you want to play? Like, we're in the middle of a game, but you can take over this unit here and I'll walk you through how to play. You know, those kinds of people are what make communities. And I think that that's really important to look for. How about when you take the time and effort to paint a beautiful model who gets deleted in round 1 of combat? Oh, my friend, that's just hobby tax. Like, that's just is what it is. that doesn't matter how nice your gaming group is. If you just painted a model and you're really happy about something, it's always going to be the first to die. Doug with honest truth about internet armchair metacritics. Please never target specific people types to fill a quota. Absolutely. And that's honestly what I came down to is like, so 3 stores, 2 in England and 1 in the US, have asked me that question of just how do we get X group increased, right? And they were different. It wasn't all women and it wasn't minorities and all kind. It was a widespread. And exactly what I told them is just like, no. These aren't alien creatures. They're just people. They just want to go somewhere and have fun, feel safe, and feel like they have friends. I don't understand why we got to bring gender and race into this. I'm pretty sure if you just make people feel like they want to be somewhere, they'll want to be somewhere. Anyway, I'm done with that one. I'm much better at the Metacritic armchair. Yes, that is absolutely me. Where you have the game, and then you have this whole subgenre of content creators who like evaluate it and treat it like it's this highly incredible tactical thing. And then there's this group of other people off to the side who laugh at those people, but also love the game. That's the group that I'm a part of. We're like, that's too serious. This is about Chonkster McFlybutt over here, like soaring across the table turn 1 and just being beefy of your nose. That is what Warhammer is to me. It was such a bizarre concept sometimes. Oh yeah, we need a Doug Spotify playlist. Yeah, it's a little dangerous, this camera setup, because it's so easy to just plop down and just start talking to the camera. Because I'm honestly, that start collecting corn box that I did, that's really what I did. Is I just sat down, pulled up the thing on the contents of the box on my PC, and I just started talking about it, right? And then I spliced it together to make a very cohesive video. And I was like, this is dangerous, because in a year we're gonna have, 24-hour live streams of Doug just going, I thought Thor 3 was fine. Just random stuff that has nothing. Judgy McCasual. Yeah, actually, I want to touch on that. Because I just explained that there's the game, there's the competitive folks, and then there's the I think someone said Metacritic, making fun of those folks and having fun with the same game. There is a contingent of people that I have met this year, and it was specifically this year, and I don't know why, of the polar opposite of the competitive stuff, where it's like casual narrative gaming to the point where they actively dislike and put down the competitive stuff. And I'm like, I'm more poke fun at how seriously people take it, because a lot of folks are too emotionally invested in a game. You know what I mean? Like, and that's where you get stuff with cheating and temper tantrums and that kind of stuff. Like, I don't like when the hobby becomes too serious or too integral to someone's self-esteem. That's not healthy. But on either side, there's just these contingents of people who are like, you guys suck, and competitive players don't like the narrative ones, and the narrative ones think the competitive stuff is stupid and has no value. It's like, no, you could all just do what you want. You can just do whatever you want. We all paid for these models. Just do whatever we want with them. Oh, man. Doug make a YouTube review about his breakfast eggs. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, it's so interesting. I had never heard of that. Of the more, I don't want to use aggressive as a word because it sounds like they're actively like assaulting and that kind of stuff, and that's not true. It's not that. It's more just, I guess they both come down to the idea of like there is a right way to play, and it's like that's just simply isn't true. You do whatever you want. I'm here to roll dice and throw fists. Oh geez, well, not at me, hopefully. The second someone walks up to me ready to throw a fist, I'll be like, oh my god, is that a girl walking into the store? And everyone will stop and look away, and I'll just run out the back door. Oh, man. Hey, man, love your channel. New subscriber. Archaon is my favorite. Oh, that's awesome, dude. Yeah, welcome aboard. So, I need to let the seaweed stuff dry. Unfortunately, the base scheme that I came up with is really nice. It's very simple, but it takes forever because you have to do the green stuff, wait for that to dry. Then the bits and bobs, wait for those to dry, all the glue to dry, and then you have to prime them and then paint them. So it takes a little while, but I like them. It's interesting. The more a game has grown in popularity, the more it's split into factions, players judging each other. Yeah, absolutely. And you know, it's almost like humans really like being part of a tribe, and at a certain point the tribe gets too big, so then we have to make another smaller tribe to dislike the other smaller tribes around us. I don't know what started that or whatever, but you know, I'm just gonna say, be nice to people. Let's see, that wouldn't work well for my local. Lots of very married men, women, and gay people. Hey, that's awesome. I'm gonna start pointing stores towards you. Here's my buddy Omniphage. Don't know anything about him or his real name or like that, but I'm sure he can fix it. Anyway, I think I'm pretty much done for the day. That's the topic that I had, you know, and I know it was a bit rambly, but here's the thing about talking about these kinds of store things is that like, it's just extremely difficult because every store is different, every environment is different. It's hard to tell a store owner when I know that the margins on this hobby industry are so minimal to like, hey, you should really like reinvest and like clean this place up, like change your store. Like that's a huge expense. And that's one where people get very insulted, like, oh, why do you think I have that kind of money, kind of a deal. So that it gets extremely difficult, but also just changing people, you know. Don't assume that you want to or you can. Don't try to. Just if you walk into a place and it seems very unhealthy, you don't feel safe, you don't feel welcome, just leave. Just leave, you know. That's all I can say. If you are trying to grow your game group, I would say, like, let's say you're part of a game group and you want to be perceived as one of the ones that we talked about, right? The hallmarks of a good gaming group. I would say absolutely come together, and maybe you can rotate out who's in charge, or if one person wants to, just have someone as a point person that if anyone's meandering by, to welcome them, offer a demo. Or at the very least, maybe you don't have to stop everything and do a demo, but at least offer to like, hey, would you like to be in control of this unit of plague bearers? They're just going to stand there and do nothing, or, you know what I mean? Give them something to do so they can engage, be a part of the action, and work with the store to make it the best place ever. And that means having events on the schedule, even if the dates change in the future. Always have something on the horizon for people to look forward to get together, to get excited about, to talk about. It's like Path to Glory is a fantastic onboarding place. I want more for Path to Glory, but it's a fantastic space to get people started in the hobby, because then you can have, you know, existing players start new factions if they want to. That helps the store grow and shows them that, like, hey, people want products. There's just a lot going on, and so just being as welcoming and inviting as possible is absolutely the way to go. That's my opinion. Hey Doug, got advice for someone moving to a new area, struggling to find a gaming group. Okay. Yes. Give me a second. Let my brain process here. I would say the first thing I would do, let's say you were moving to New York. Okay, I'm just going to pick a city that people in the world have heard of. You're moving to New York. What I would first do is go online to like Facebook. Yeah, probably Facebook. I'd start there. And then just type in New York Warhammer. And you will probably find something. Now, beyond there, you can also look up stores. So I would go and Warhammer in New York. You'd see a list of game stores. You can go to those stores and okay, if they have things on the calendar, I know that there's a game group there because it wouldn't exist if it wasn't for them. And then look to see if they have a regular game night. A lot of times if they do, they'll also have a separate, and here's where our players organize their games. So it's interesting. So I think that's how I would first find that groups exist. But then as far as actually, determining if you like them or not, everything we talked about before. So that's what I would do. I mean, I'm moving to Iowa here in about 2 months. And the first thing I did was just Iowa Warhammer. And of course, there's a Facebook group called Iowa Wargamers. And then there's, you can get in there and start asking questions. And there's just different local groups all across, spread up by towns. But they come together every once in a while and do little tournaments together. So that's exciting. I think there was just a store finder on the GW website. Yeah, you can find retailers through there, but you got to keep in mind not every retailer supports a game group. So, for example, there are stores who someone requested some GW product and they bought some, but it didn't really take off in the area, and so it's just sitting there collecting dust. So they are technically a retailer, but there's no community there. And so just kind of be mindful of that. I would say always go to that business's website to verify that there's an active group. Yeah. Avoid shops with Magic the Gathering. Those bros are thirstier than a man from Death Valley. Oh my gosh. Well, I refuse to speak ill of Magic the Gathering, mainly because I don't know enough about it. But I will say I cannot think of a single local store outside of my GW specifically that does Warhammer and does not do Magic the Gathering, because it's a great moneymaker for those store owners. And when they have such thin margins when it comes to hobbying and board games and that kind of stuff, I get it. Totally get it. And that's honestly, there was a time 2 years ago I was maybe I should save up to own my own store, an online store. And I was I don't want to do that. That all sounds terrible. And now here we are in 2020 and I'm woo, dodge that bullet. Yep, Ben Connor, you're totally right. Magic the Gathering keeps the lights on. Oh, it's that weird song that I don't like. Here we go. So, it's important. It's part of the eco-bio nerdosphere that Magic the Gathering kind of keeps us all afloat. What else? So, stuff that you can look forward to here coming up pretty soon. I am going to be doing some streaming of... Oh my god, what is the game called? You dingus. Warhammer Underworlds. I don't know why I totally blanked on my mind. I re-downloaded it since the open pre-release thing. They fixed a lot of the visual issues that I was having and why I didn't stream it before. And so, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and start streaming some of that. I'm going to play some Silver Tower on my phone, and we'll talk about those things. Now, this week, again, was a little bit light because I had all this equipment coming in. Thank you all so much. I know it was kind of dumb to be thanks for all of your support in taking the channel to the next level. I'm going to disappear for a week. I tried not to do that. I'm so sorry. But I already have videos in the pipeline for next week, and I think you're going to like them. So, friends, I'm going to go ahead and call it here. Y'all are awesome. Andrew asked what happened to my Warcry narrative campaign. It is so I stopped doing it because it was too hard to film with my phone in particular. But this new camera allows me to do some really nice things, like recording battle reports. And so my goal is to pick it back up once I move and we have a dedicated studio that's kind of more spaced out for it. And yeah, so it's coming. It will be. It will be. Will be. There we go. Are you going to stream Necromundo when it comes out? Oh, absolutely. I think I saw on the community page today, it comes out, or it's released 3 o'clock in the afternoon my time on Monday. And so I'm going to go ahead and download that. And yes, because it's going to be all Escher all the time, assuming that, well, they're in the promo, so I'm assuming they're part of the base game. But yep, absolutely, 10,000%. I will be there. Don't you worry about that. So friends, thank you all so much for joining me this Friday. Again, next time I hope to have the camera feed set up to where I can have it kind of running more continuously and chat face to face, but I'll get that sorted out. Thank you. Just coughed on nothing there. Thank you all so much, and I'll catch you next time. Happy wargaming.